happens when our body language doesn't match up with our message? I'll be speaking with an expert about what to do to avoid that conflict. So here's a question I pose to you. How effective are you as a conversationalist or even a negotiator? Do you wish you were better at getting your point across? And just how effective you can be may be determined, that is, by your body language. Did you ever think about that? Stacey, Hanke, CEO and author of Influence Redefined, Be the Leader You Were Meant to Be, is joining us today. Thanks for coming back. We enjoyed talking to you the last time, and I think this is such a great topic. What difference can our body language make in our presentation?
If our body language is not consistent with our message, we start having people starting to guess, are we truly knowledgeable in our topic? Can they trust us? When the body language doesn't match the messaging, usually because that distraction is so strong, your listener starts paying attention to what are you doing? And I bet we all know someone who fidgets with the pen, cracks their knuckles at the meeting, fidgeting with their clothes or their hair. And we don't want to make it more difficult for our listeners to hear us, to understand our message, because there's so much noise.
So that's an example you're talking about when you say, you know, make sure your body language matches your message. So what should I be doing when I'm trying to get my message across? You know, not fidgeting, not clicking my pen. What are some of the things that we can learn about to do correctly?
And those are the very common. It's the constant fidgeting. Think through any body language, whether it's your eyes, your posture, how you sit, how you stand, your gestures. If there's not purpose behind what you're doing, especially your gestures, I know right now our listeners are totally watching what I'm doing, that I brought it up.
Right, exactly.
When the gesture doesn't match the message, it starts to become confusing. Something as if I would say, we have a huge opportunity. Well, this doesn't match my message, so I start to complicate, what is my listener supposed to hear?
So what would match that message? Give me an example. I want you to show me what we need to do.
If I were to say, we have a huge opportunity. Now, I wouldn't want to go larger because it's just you and I, and it would be awkward. Yeah. It's a little weird. But when it's one-on-one, I want to make sure I create the visual for you. Here's why that's so important. Because we live in a world of noise, how many messages do we receive 24/7 every day? We have to do something that's going to help us be memorable. Not only ourselves, but also our messaging. And that's really what Influence Redefined is. It's talking about how influence means that your message and you have to stand out to make sure that not only does your listener remember you long after the interaction has occurred, but you encourage them to take that action.
I love that. Okay, so let's get an example. You're talking to your boss and you're trying to get a very important point across. What do I do with my eye contact? What do I do with my hands? I mean, how important is eye contact too?
Absolutely critical, because eye contact, I call it eye connection. There's a big difference between the two. It's the only behavior that communicates trust. And if your boss, whoever you're speaking to, doesn't believe that they can trust you, they're not going to be influenced with you.
So the eye contact means I trust you. I can look at you.
Exactly. And you want to always stay connected. I describe it as only speak when you see eyes. Anytime you're looking away, don't talk to the person's shoes, don't talk to the top of their head. And how many times have us as listeners, we've experienced that.
So it's okay for me to look up and think, but don't like look, oh, she's got something in her hair.
Exactly. Don't talk when you're doing it. Only speak when you see eyes. The other one I think that's really, really important is making sure that you have brevity. We all get caught up in what we call filler words, the you know, like so, the list goes on. When we communicate with those words, we start to jeopardize our knowledge. People really start questioning, do you really know what you're talking about? And it takes too long to go to the point when we're using filler words, which is another distraction.
I love that. We talked about that the last time you were here. So if you could give people maybe a couple of tips when it comes to using your body language to your advantage, what do you want us to remember?
When in doubt, less is more. Make sure that every time that you're sitting or standing, you have a very open stance. And there's a lot of research that talks about own the conversation, which means keep your body open. From there, really focus on the eye connection.
Wait a minute, keep your body open. So don't go like this.
You got it, you got it. As I'm sitting right now, I'm always open with you. That way I never run the risk of you guessing, is she as confident as she really says she is? The other piece, I think, the other two, is definitely start paying attention to what you're doing with your eyes. And ask, ask family members, ask people that you can trust. Tell me when I'm talking, but I'm not looking at you.
So you coach people with this.
I coach people on that piece.
Okay.
And the last piece is the brevity. If our listeners today can keep it short, can really clean up, leave out the words that are out of context and don't have meaning, and you're more likely to break through that misperception of, are you really as knowledgeable as you say you are?
Very interesting. How did I do with you?
You do great. You do this for a living. You're flawless.
Everybody is worried when they go out with you that they're being judged. Am I right?
Yes. There's a little bit of that radar screen that goes up.
Quickly, where is your website? People can go to learn more.
Thank you for asking. It's Stacey with an EY, HANKEINC.com.
Influence Redefined. Thanks so much for coming in, Stacey. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you.